It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Jen Cohen as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now, here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Paul David. As always, it's great to have you in studio today. We're sitting down with Sedona In Motion, Director of Public Works for the City of Sedona and City Engineer Andy Dickey. Welcome back to studio. And Engineering Supervisor Stephen Craver is in studio as well. Welcome to studio.
Thank you.
Website for you is simuptown.com. Simuptown.com is probably the best place to go for information about the work that's going to be taking place in Uptown Sedona, which kicks off June 3rd, just a few days away.
Right.
Yeah. So, are you guys ready for it?
We're ready.
Is Uptown Sedona ready for it? We certainly hope so.
Hopefully.
Yeah, so anything going on Uptown Sedona, of course, is going to cause some headaches and concerns, but we're hoping, right, by the end of this project, which is supposed to be finished up spring 2020, that it's going to be this beautiful place and traffic is going to be moving better. Anybody who goes through Uptown Sedona knows the traffic's an issue and pedestrian traffic is an issue. Back when we were kids and we all grew up in the area together. What do you know about that? We're like brothers. But we all remember there were quiet times in Sedona, and there's not really quiet times much anymore, and we know that the traffic wasn't as bad as it used to be, as it is now. So This is hopefully a plan that was been in. When did we start working on this plan again?
Well, the Transportation Master Plan began in 2016.
Okay.
So this is a project that was kind of recommended out of that effort. So it's been in the works for quite a while now.
Okay, and Andy, you mentioned last time we did any really major improvements in Uptown Sedona was in 2006. So it's been, 12, 13 years now.
Right. Yeah, we did some pavement work in 2015, but that wasn't as significant as the 2006 project.
All right, well, let's get right into it, because as I mentioned, this is going to go on until spring 2020. We're going to have construction in Uptown Sedona, and we also need to remember, too, that Sedona is kind of linked to Oak Creek Canyon as well as Flagstaff. Oak Creek Canyon is scheduled to go for a resurfacing project with ADOT starting in August, so there'll be the work in Uptown Sedona as well as through Oak Creek Canyon. Oak Creek Canyon 89A is going to get a nice facelift all the way through it, so that should be all of it combined together. Hopefully will make things much, much better. So what's the first project? June 3rd, construction starts. So what's our first project?
That's right. So the SIM Strategy 1 in the master plan was the Uptown Roadway improvement. So that's the project that kicks off June 3rd. We had the construction contract approved at council last night with Eagle Mountain Construction as the contractor. They're out of Flagstaff. So starting next week, they'll be mobilizing and kind of getting some of their staking done for the construction that's going to take place. You won't really see any demolition work or things like that probably till the following week, but things are definitely kicking off. They'll be starting with building a couple roundabouts. So there's going to be a new roundabout going in at Jordan Road, as well as at the north end of Uptown near the La Petite Motel. It'll be adding a median through Uptown. That'll be a nice landscaped decorative barrier to restrict left-hand turns and pedestrians, as well as adding a second southbound lane for that additional capacity coming out of Oak Creek Canyon.
How do we do a roundabout construction at Jordan Road? And I'm Jordan Road and 89A, right? It's just past Forest Road is Jordan Road. How do we construct a roundabout in the month of June when it's typically one of the busiest months in Uptown Sedona?
So there's pretty detailed sequencing that the contractor puts together. So they look at building it basically half at a time. So they'll start on the west half of the road on the Jordan intersection side. They'll construct that while still maintaining both directions of traffic on the other side of the road. When they complete one half, then they'll flip traffic to that completed side, and then again work on the other half of the roadway until they get that completed.
I have to think Jordan Road may be closed while this is happening, at least that intersection?
At least left-hand turns onto Jordan. We're hoping that we can maintain right turns coming from southbound for portions of that work, but yeah, there will be likely detours during the work hours. The intent is after work hours, and on weekends access would be maintained.
Roundabout's pretty sizable, so I imagine we're probably going to be consuming some of the parking. And what are we losing when we put in a roundabout at Jordan Road?
I don't recall offhand exactly how many spaces, but yeah, we are losing a few parking spaces. But we do, again, part of the project actually is building a connector road up to Schnebly, so it's not Schnebly Hill. I know that's kind of a confusion with Schnebly Hill versus Schnebly Road, but there is a Schnebly Road is where our municipal parking lot is located off of, as well as the Wayside Chapel parking lot, which has public parking. So we're actually improving access up to those free parking lots. So people that are coming southbound out of the canyon that are looking for free parking, we can get them off of the roadway sooner up to those free parking lots. So
Okay.
kind of continuing to promote those free off-street lots.
Okay, all right. Roundabout construction, Jordan Road, how long is that going to take?
Our goal is to have both roundabouts completed before Labor Day. So that's really kind of, summer months are busy, but the busier time is actually September, October is kind of the secondary peak. The primary peak is March and April. But so we want to get that roundabout construction done before Labor Day, before that fall peak season kicks off.
Are they working on both of them at the same time? Or
They are.
They are. They're going to work on both of them at the same time. And we're looking at west side both times. So, and I'm glad you mentioned it's not Schnebly Hill Road, because when I saw on the plan that it called for a new route to Schnebly Road, I thought, well, wait a minute. That's on the other side of Oak Creek from Uptown Sedona. What kind of magic do we have going on here? But it's not at Schnebly Road. The Schnebly Road does not come out on 89A at this time?
It does not. It's a dead ends, basically kind of up behind Wayside Chapel. So we'll actually be extending that down through some private property to connect to the new roundabout. And it'd be a one-way access, basically, so it won't be, you won't be able to get to it to go up Oak Creek Canyon. You'd still have to go down to Jordan to go northbound. So it'd be a kind of a one-way access lane to get up to that free parking.
Okay. And how much parking is going to be up there in that lot? How big of a lot are we talking about? I picture Uptown Sedona. It's already a very narrow corridor, and I was impressed with what was done in 2006 with just, it seemed like when that project was finished, it was so much wider. It was really beautiful with the walkways and the stucco and the railings and everything else that went into there. And I know there's a parking structure there in Uptown Sedona, but it doesn't seem like it's a very big one. So we need a lot of parking in Uptown. I mean, it's crazy busy up there.
Yeah, I mean, between those two free lots that are off of Schnebly, I don't recall the exact number, but it's over 150 spaces between the municipal lot and the Wayside Chapel lot, which is, most times of the week is available for public parking. So that, again, that's kind of our biggest inventory of that free off-street parking. We do have the roughly currently 101 spaces, I believe, on Main Street in Uptown. Again, we'll be losing a handful of those with the construction, but again, we'll continue to promote that off-street free parking as well.
Do you guys get any complaints from the local businesses that have just folks that maybe come in and park in their parking lot and they're not really there to eat or go to their shop, but they're just, well, there's a parking lot. Let's park in that restaurant parking lot. We'll just wander through town. I'm sure they've got to be kind of happy about this as well.
Yeah, as far as promoting the free parking lots, that's accurate. Parking in Uptown is very valuable. So having, a general availability of parking to the public is definitely valuable.
Okay. And then the lot, is that being done at the same time that the roundabouts are being done, or is the lot already ready to go?
It's there. It's been there for, I don't even know.
I can't see that in my
probably
head.
15 or 20 years, I think it's been up there.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
It's been up there a long time.
Okay, so we just have to get the road and the roundabouts taken care of, and it's amazing. It's amazing. It's already looking better already. So roundabouts, Labor Day weekend. So by the end of summer, hopefully those roundabouts will be finished up. Are people getting the hang of the roundabouts? I notice when I drive through Sedona, I kind of like the roundabouts because the tourists in town they don't seem real sure as to how they work, and they'll like wave me through, and I'm like, oh, thank you. You have no idea. You've just made my day. I'm going to get through here even quicker. I think their roundabouts are kind of spreading across the country. I think people are getting a better feel for them.
Yeah, I mean, local residents, I think, enjoy them. They understand that they operate better than signals most of the time. Mm-hmm. However, of course, tourists that come into town that have never driven them, they make them operate a little less efficiently because they hesitate when they're not supposed to, and they, yield when they're not supposed to, and things like that. So, I do think that locals do appreciate the roundabouts and like to drive them. It's just the tourists that tend to make them operate not as efficiently.
Well, like I said, it always helps me out when I'm going through there because they seem to stop. Let's take our first break. The website you want to go to is simuptown.com. I've got the packet in front of me here. I think it was 65 pages. 65 pages of stuff to read. Simuptown.com. Director of Public Works and City Engineer Andy Dickey in studio, and Engineer Supervisor Stephen Craver. Countywide back in just a couple minutes.
So
How will Smokey deal with such a hot situation? The garden hose defense. Next a thorough stir, then another spray, and finally feeling if the ashes are cool.
Oh, yeah.
Ah yes, the selfie, a ritual practiced so frequently with this tribe, but not so much by Smokey Bear.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Making was a big part of the foundation of what I wanted my children to do and to have fun with.
Growing up in the Bushnell house was like nutty professor craziness. I know, that's true.
Getting burned on a hot glue gun, that was okay. You know, burning themselves with a soldering iron, that was okay.
I was 6 when I learned how to solder.
We learned how to paint, we learned how to sheetrock, and all these things had such lasting impact.
I felt that creativity would give them entree into being able to do anything they wanted.
Whatever we showed our dad, it was always the coolest thing in the world to him.
Good ideas are very often considered silly at their outset.
And by that definition, we haven't even really grown up, you know? I mean, the projects have just gotten bigger.
We all make and have fun. Now the question is, why do you make?
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
Welcome back to Countywide. We're talking about Sedona In Motion, the work that's going to be taking place in Uptown Sedona starting on June 3rd with a roundabout at Jordan Road and the other one down by Schnebly and 89A. Not Schnebly Hill Road, but Schnebly, which is going to be extended down to 89A for folks to drive back up into the parking lot. Okay, so Andy, you want to mention that we're looking at other parking ideas as well for Uptown.
Yeah, the city's undertaking right now a parking garage siting study. So there is a need for additional public parking in the Uptown area. And right now they're looking for where the best place would be to place a structure like that.
Okay, all right. So that's in the works, and we'll keep track of that. And Andy and Stephen here will keep me informed on that too. And we'll probably have you guys back. I'm sure we'll have you back multiple times between now and before this is over with, just for an update and stuff like that, and talk about how things are coming along. Okay, so we got roundabouts, so traffic is hopefully not stopping at lights, and they're moving through the roundabout nice. I can see how that hopefully is going to move traffic through. I saw in the study that right now, driving from, I'm just going to say Indian Gardens, because I think most people are familiar with the trout farm in Indian Gardens, into Uptown Sedona. On a day where there's not a lot of traffic, it's about 7 minutes, but on a weekend in the afternoon when people are done and tired and coming back into Sedona, it could be up to 42 to 45 minute up drive through that small, what is that, like 3-4 miles worth. Mm-hmm. And so we're hoping that by the time this is done, that the commute at that time of day would be down to about 15 minutes, which would be amazing. I mean, that's a third of what it would take then.
Right.
That'd be really great. You talked about another southbound lane. Where does that extra southbound lane start? Where'd you come up with the room for another southbound lane, and then where does it get to?
So the second southbound lane will actually start at that northern roundabout, at the kind of where that Schnebly connector's at, up by the La Petite Motel. So all the way through the corridor, we'll have 2 lanes. So right now, the 2 lanes begin just north of Forest Road. It's kind of where it expands to 2 southbound lanes. So we'll be basically extending that all the way up to the new roundabout. People may not realize that through most of Uptown there is a center turn lane, so that's primarily where that space will be occupied. Is within that center turn lane that's existing, we'll be able to add that 4-foot median, and then that second southbound lane. So there are some improvements further north. We'll have to actually kind of encroach into a little bit of a hillside and do a small retaining wall and that kind of thing. But there certainly is space to add that second southbound lane and get that additional capacity. And ultimately, kind of the idea behind that is that people that are looking for parking or know they're heading for Jordan Road can kind of be in that outside lane, whereas people that are the through traffic can be on the inside lane and keep moving, and they're not impacted by people backing in and out of parking spaces and that kind of thing. So that inside lane should really just flow nice and smooth, and people that are parking or looking for stores or whatever can be in that outside lane.
That's smart. I like that. Okay, that makes sense to have that. You know what? I couldn't picture that turn lane through there. I always thought it was just 2 lanes, one in, one out. And so, okay, that's interesting. Okay, there's a turn lane there. Other thing, when does that construction start on that extra lane?
So again, so the majority of that space is there now. So they'll build the roundabouts first, and then they'll come in and they will do, there are some edge improvements necessary, some minor widening at kind of some pinch points where there's crosswalks and things like that. So again, it's phased. If you go to the simuptown.com website, we will have a phasing map on there that kind of shows how it's supposed to progress. But again, the roundabout's supposed to be complete by Labor Day, and then they'll jump to those edge improvements, which will happen kind of over the winter time. And they'll come back in and they'll do, the median will be kind of the final phase. So they'll do one edge of curb at a time. But we'll have the lanes available at that point.
Wow, that's amazing that you guys can do all this work in Uptown Sedona while all this stuff is going on with people and traffic and everything else, but get it done. Again, yeah, simuptown.com, that's a good website. I signed up for the every kind of press release that you could possibly have on this, and you could sign up for weekly press releases. There's going to be a weekly one. I know the city of Prescott does that. Highway 179, I think, had the same thing when 179 was being redone as well. So if you want to keep up to speed on what's going on with the work at Uptown, that would be a great place to go and sign up for that. Okay, you mentioned it. Crosswalks. I saw them go in and I thought, well, okay, all right, but then you still got that chicken that wants to run across the road, you know, and there's been numerous times where I've driven through Uptown where you just got to hit the brakes because somebody just decides I'm stepping out right now, looks like there's a break in traffic, and that snarls traffic quite a bit as well. We've got folks in Uptown who try to kind of alleviate that and direct people. I know Sedona Police for a while had bicycle officers up there too, kind of trying to keep that happening, but we're talking about millions of people that are coming through there on a regular basis. It's really difficult to try to get everybody to behave the way they should be. So what are we going to do to get pedestrians from darting across 89A there? What's that plan?
Well, again, so as far as in general, the median will control pedestrians to kind of channelize them to actual crosswalk locations. So we'll restrict kind of the abundant jaywalking that we currently see. We do have what's called our traffic control assistance program, where on weekends they're out there to control pedestrians, basically, hold pedestrians for a certain period of time to move vehicles more efficiently, and then allow, a group of pedestrians to cross at once rather than kind of a steady stream of people coming and going. So likely we will continue that program even after this project is complete to, again, just get the added efficiency. And ultimately, in the master plan, one of the strategies does contemplate the idea of pedestrian overcrossings in Uptown. So that is something that we'll evaluate how successful this project is in terms of reducing those travel times, and at the kind of, in a couple of years assess, is it still necessary to look at installing a couple pedestrian bridges to, again, minimize those conflicts.
I was looking at that in the plan, and it did have the one plan where we're going with the project right now. It was like $3.5 million. Is that the cost of this project? What is
the actual construction contract amount that was approved last night? It's $4.4 million.
$4.4 million. And I noticed, because I was in Vegas and I thought, oh, they got all these overpasses that go over the roadway, keep people off the roads. How nice. But then I noticed that in the study, the cost it almost doubles, because you've got to have the ADA elevators and everything that goes with those things. So that's something we can look at, like you said, down the road. Now another thing, right now there's nothing stopping people from, running across 89A, but Stephen has mentioned a couple of times now that there is a median. Where's the median start? Where does it end? How big is it? And what does it look like?
So again, it starts at the north end. At that roundabout, it'll actually continue through the entire corridor. So from that roundabout all the way down to Jordan. So again, there won't be any left-hand turns allowed from some of the private driveways, like at Amara and Roadway. So ultimately, somebody who's wanting to right now that would be turning left out of there would have to take a right, go down to the roundabout, and kind of make a U-turn. That's a more efficient movement rather than having to try to cross traffic and then merge into the other lane of traffic. And it's just a constant disruption of traffic flow when you have all those different movements happening. So it will run through the entire corridor. It's roughly 4 feet wide. Basically, is kind of the landscaped area. There'll be native plants, and there's a decorative steel panel barrier, kind of a rusted steel. And so ultimately we think it's really kind of an enhancement actually to the beauty of Uptown. It's a very unique median. It's not your typical concrete barrier. It's really got a lot of kind of architectural elements to it that we think is really going to look really nice.
Yeah, it reminds me of the village of Oak Creek. Anywhere making a left out of Sedona is a difficult thing to do, no matter where you are, whether you're in West Sedona, down by Dry Creek Roads, okay, whatever. There's a lot of lights that showed up in town since we were kids, right? I mean, it's definitely changed a lot. So no left-hand turns is a good idea. And I noticed they did that in the village of Oak Creek too, and I think it probably helped them out and kept traffic flowing. We got to take a second break already. Matter of fact, we're late. Okay, so simuptown.com is the website. Simuptown.com. Stick around, Countywide, back in just a couple minutes.
This is Bruce Morrow, Transportation Manager for Cottonwood Area Transit. Remember, we cover the entire Verde Valley in Sedona. Cottonwood Area Transit has you covered wherever you want to ride in the Verde Valley, all day, every day. Take Cottonwood Area Transit through Clarkdale, Verde Village, and from 26 locations in Cottonwood. With Verde Links, it's a quick and easy trip to Sedona every day. Don't forget our connectors to Camp Verde. Visit cottonwoodaz.gov for Cottonwood Area Transit and take a seat. Let's go ride.
How I define making? In the broadest possible terms, it is making something extant in the world that didn't exist. Everybody who's ever made anything is bringing something into fruition for a reason. And that act in and of itself makes us stewards of our culture. It's something that we're talking about. It's a response. Actually, it's telling a story. That's really what it is. And I include everything that could be made: painting, sculpture, welding, all of that. Yellow is positive. When a kid gets their hands on the world and learns that they can make their fantasy play, that they can make their reality, that's power. And as far as I'm concerned, everyone should feel that kind of power. There we go. If there's something that interests you to bring into the world, that's fantastic. Go figure out how to do it. Go tell your own story. There it is. And so I want to know why you make. Let's go.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
Welcome back to Countywide. We've got just a few minutes left of the program. We wanted to stress that the meeting is actually going all the way down to Forest Road. Right. Okay. So all the way through the center of Uptown Sedona, only right-hand turns, which is a great idea to keep people just always no left turns. There is no shortage of ways to keep track of what's going on in Uptown Sedona between now and the spring of 2020 when this is supposed to wrap up. There is a hotline, and I'm going to put a story together today, and I'll run this, and we'll put it on the website as well. But it's all this information, again, is at simuptown.com. It's all there. The hotline is 928-852-4164. I'll say that again, 928-852-4164. There's also going to be Monday morning meetups. Now, is this for the public, or is this mostly for the folks that have businesses in Uptown Sedona, residents of Uptown Sedona?
Yeah, it's mostly for those folks that are impacted by the construction. It's intended to inform those folks. We're going to have a contractor there so they can come in for those meetings and find out what the work's going to be in the following week, and meet with some of our other public relations staff as well. Okay, all right, and that's going to be from 9 to 10 on Monday mornings, and then you said it's going to kind of vary at different businesses and stuff like that, and breakfast and all that good stuff will be there, and you just kind of sit down and hear what the contractor has to say and ask some questions. Right. That's a nice idea. And then there's the simuptown.com. You could sign up. I noticed there was, I signed up for the weekly updates because I feel like this is something that I'm going to have weekly in the news to keep people informed as well. Sometimes there probably won't be as much change week from week, but nevertheless, people are going to want to know, okay, where are they at with Uptown Sedona? How's things coming along? Okay, so we've got a minute left. Anything else we need to get out there real quick? Patience is definitely necessary. Yeah, we're gonna do our best to try to limit impacts as best we can. Did want to mention the work hours are typically going to be from 5:30 to 3:30 Monday through Thursday. 5:30 to 1 o'clock on Fridays if necessary. It won't be every Friday, but if there's kind of something they need to kind of get ahead of or stay on track, they will be working those Fridays.
again, the idea there is that we try to maintain those late afternoon hours where businesses can kind of operate without any sort of construction noise or impacts during that time.
Okay. Yeah, they're shut down for the hotels and everything too, so there's no work at night. Any night work planned at all?
There will be some probably periodic night work necessary, maybe for some paving at kind of strategic locations. So not a lot, but there probably will be a handful of times where that will be necessary.
Andy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll be seeing you guys again and talking to them for sure. We'll be talking again. SimUptown.com. That's today's Countywide. Thanks for watching and listening. We'll talk to you again next time.